Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Two Psychics. Such a pleasure to be here. And I am here with my fantastic co-host, Mary Amy. What is up, Mary Amy? How you doing?
Good. I was going to say good morning. Good evening. It's Two
Good morning. Good evening. Let me just adjust my phone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. We welcome you whatever time of day it is, right?
Exactly. June 17th, 2025. Here we are on Two Psychics, episode 56. How have you been, Michael?
I'm doing good. I'm navigating, I would say the same energy that everybody else is. It's very intense energy. And the one thing I would like to talk about, and I think what everyone needs to be very mindful of, is self-care. And I think this is one thing that can get away from us, whether our priorities, our to-do lists, whatever it may be. A lot of times we feel as if, we don't have the time for self-care, or there's something else that's more important. But let me tell you, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not taking care of our mind, body, spirit, well, then how can we help others? How can we give back? How can we take care of that outside of us if we don't take care of that which is inside? So, it's one thing that I've been very mindful of. And, for those of you that are just tuning into this episode, my mother's passed away over the last 2 weeks. I lost my mom. I've been navigating a bunch of different things. I've had some loss, in my life throughout this year, and it's kind of culminated with the death of my mother. And I had to take a step back, and I had to say, you know what, dealing with this grief and dealing with the passing of someone so close, I really had to concentrate on self-care and making sure I'm good and I'm balanced. And, especially as a medium, we need to be really, really mindful of the energy we're putting out, energy that we're taking in. So that would be the one thing I would tell everyone out there: make self-care a priority. It's not being selfish, it's not being self-centered, it's truly taking care of what your mind, body, spirit needs, so we can be there for others, so we can be of service, and our cup is full so we can fill the cup of others. If we're dealing with an empty cup, then how are we going to fill the cup of others? So I think it's a good state of mind to have self-care be at the forefront of it.
So for me, self-care is actually resting more and not, even when I say I'm resting, I'm actually doing things. No, self-care for me is actually going down and just having quiet time by the water. It's sleeping more. It's making sure that I eat. Exercise, yes and no, because I already do that. So that's actually maybe not self-care for me. But yes, I agree with you. And because of what you're going through right now and recently, it's a loss, and there's space there that is probably feels like it needs to be filled in some way, right? And
Absolutely.
and I know that the love, there's a lot of love. You have a lot of people around you that love you and want good things for you, and it's just, you got to just take it moment by moment, because you can't figure out how you're going to feel every day or every moment. You just have to take it and get through it and keep moving.
Yeah. Be mindful, be present. And that's the one thing that we need to remind ourselves is, in the present moment, that's where we can have the most impact. That's where we can have the most positive change, the most positive focus, and what we need to propel ourselves forward in the best way possible. If we're caught up, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, then there's no way to be present and be mindful. And that's so important, and it is in the present moment where we can implement the most dramatic change. So yeah, absolutely. Being mindful for this present moment is so important, and it's crucial that everyone if you're not focusing on what's happening here in the now, you need to definitely shift it. And we're not doing ourselves any good, replaying or reliving the past. Obviously, we could be retrospective. We can have that introspect perspective of looking how we've done things in the past or how things unfolded, and maybe we can utilize that for certain aspects of moving forward. But we don't want to live there. We don't want to live in the past. We don't want to live in the future. We want to be very mindful of the present, and it's crucial. It's crucial to our well-being. Absolutely.
So tonight, we have a guest tonight. It's Eric Vanderlaan, which you can tell me how to pronounce his name. Ghosthunter of Paranormal Hauntings. And our topic tonight is ghosts, which I don't really have a lot to share. I will share something. Before we get into that, I was wondering if I could give a little visualization and also speak about manifesting. You okay
I think
with that?
that'd be great. Yeah, I think that'd be good for everyone. Visualizations, manifesting. Let's manifest the highest and best. You
Okay.
know.
It's interesting because I speak of, I believe even in our intro, I speak of mystical, and your music is the mystic soul, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Divine journey of a mystic soul. Oh.
There you go. And I want to just explain to everyone out there, our listeners and our audience, what is a mystic exactly? Well, mystic transcends ordinary human knowledge, becoming one with a higher power. If it's a god or a deity, how do you say it? Deity? D-E.
Deity. Yes. Deity. Yes.
And then
But
they receive divine messages. It's a truth seeker, someone who has visions or prophecies, believes in sacred and mystical experiences. And that kind of covers a lot of what we speak of and who we bring on, because about a lot of this is about divine messages, isn't it? And mystics gain awareness through meditation, prayer, and nature. And I have a quote: if the sight of blue skies fills you with joy, if a blade of grass springing up in the fields has power to move you. Okay, so I'm just going to share two little exercises that I've spoken about in my time as an intuitive, which is where I officially started doing it 2014-ish. Okay, so manifest. To manifest, in other words, is to have a dream or goal. It takes an intention, emotional openness, and belief. You will not manifest if you laugh at yourself or you have any doubt. So we're going to go to the light right now, aren't we? We're going to the light. I want to remind everyone that there is light on the horizon. Good things are coming beyond your view. A difficult situation will improve, which is I would have these dreams going back from 2020 to now. And I have these dreams that I'm in my bedroom and there's this rectangular window and I go to the window and there is a horizon and there's beautiful golden colors and oranges and reds and water below it. And that's light on the horizon. Okay. So we're going to embrace new positive opportunities and decide exactly what you want. Do not be vague when you're manifesting. Be authentic and own it. And here's some steps. These are some steps that I've decided that is a way to manifest. All right, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down on a piece of paper what you want to manifest. Okay, so whatever that is, it's entirely up to you. You don't share this with anyone. It could be something that's material. It could be a dream that you have, a place you would like to go to, travel to. It's whatever you want it to be. It could be that you want to have a relationship. Okay, whatever it is, write it down on a piece of paper, and I'd like you to put it in your sock drawer. Fold it up, put it in a piece of paper, in your sock drawer. Tell no one. This is personal. Keep all the energy positive surrounding this desire. Okay, second. So let's just imagine right now that you've done this. Because here we are, and I don't know if you have a piece of paper in front of you, but imagine whatever it is. Okay, so you've put it in your sock drawer. Now I'd like what you to do is close your eyes. You too, Michael, close your eyes. Close your eyes. And now I'd like you to visualize exactly what you want. Okay. Take away any doubt, I always say. All right. And I want you to be in that moment, whatever that is that you want. Okay. Exactly what you want with all your senses. What do you feel? What do you smell? What do you hear and see? Okay. So you're visualizing exactly whatever this is that you would like to manifest, the note that you're putting in your sock drawer. You're going to stay there. And I'd like you to allow yourself to feel satisfaction. Now, if you feel joy in your heart, then you are capable of attaining your goal. Okay? Now, if you cannot connect to whatever this is, where you can't see it, you can't feel it, something's blocking you from having it. Now you have to discover why. Did someone tell you that this is silly and say, oh, you can't do it, it's impossible? Either it's happened recently, maybe as a child, maybe a young adult, maybe a teacher, a parent, a friend. I'd like you to let that go. Let that all go. Whatever it is that's blocking you, maybe it's not blocking you, maybe nothing's blocking you, and you're still sitting there seeing it. Okay, now I'm going to remind you, only family and friends are only supposed to support you. They're not supposed to take your spirit away or your dreams. So let's embrace whatever it is that you desire, okay? Anything is possible. And now what I'd like you to do, and I know Michael here can't do it because then we'll hear him, and then we'll know whatever it is. I'd like you to speak aloud about it, whatever it is you'd like to have. Like describe it like it's in the present terms. I always use the example, a shiny yellow car with black interior. So how would I describe my shiny yellow car? I'd say, oh, my shiny yellow car, it's a little sports car, it's a convertible, it's in my driveway, I can see it. It has black leather interior, I can touch it. It's this bright lemon yellow color. It's my car, it's a two-seater, and there's a little spot in the back to put some luggage, okay? And that's what I visualize. And I'm speaking about my car like it's here. So I would like you, when you manifest, to speak about it as you already have it. So the 3 steps are, you write it down on a piece of paper, put it in your sock drawer, then you visualize it with all your senses, and then you speak about it as if you already have it, because the universe is going to bring it to you. Okay. All right, everyone, you can open your eyes, and that's how you manifest. Okay? At least that's how I believe you manifest. All right, since we only have a little bit of time before he comes, this is a quick little visualization. All right. I'd like everyone to close your eyes. And this is how you bring a calm sense of being within you. It's a way to slow down your heart rate, your blood pressure. It's a way to calm your senses. And if you're in a place where you're having some kind of difficulty, maybe you're having a bad mood, maybe someone's upsetting you, if you do this visualization when you're around someone, they will sense something shifted, and it will change the whole mood and the energy of the situation. All right, it's a mind-body experience. So we're going to move past anxiety, change and alter energetic vibration to a higher frequency. So you're sitting down in a comfortable position. You're letting out a breath. You're relaxing your body. You're moving your head around. You're letting go of any tension that you have in your physical being, your arms, your legs. You're putting all your weight in your bottom. And you're going to inhale and exhale 3 times. Inhale. And we're going to do this on a 5 count, okay? We're going to hold it for 5. We're going to inhale for 5, hold it for 5, and release it for 5. Okay, ready? Here we go. Inhale. Release. We're going to inhale. And 1 more. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine the most beautiful nature scene. Now it's of your choosing, because it's got to be beautiful for you. And you're going to visualize this beautiful nature scene. I'm going to give you some examples. Maybe it's a waterfall. Maybe it's a beach. Maybe it's a snowy mountain. Maybe it's a field of flowers, a brook, an apple tree, the reflection of sunlight on a body of water, a rainbow. You choose the nature scene that you would like. Okay, so you choose a nature scene that's going to resonate with you. So for example, I always choose a beach. So I imagine the water, the sandy beach, my feet in the sand. So you choose whatever this is. Okay, you keep it to yourself. All the vivid colors. What do you see with this nature scene? What colors? Okay, what do you smell? What do you feel if you were to step onto this nature scene? What do you hear? Okay, you're using all your senses. And now this nature is bringing you joy. So you're imagining this nature scene, and I'd like you to memorize everything that you're seeing, feeling, smelling, touching. Okay, whatever that is for you. I'm going to be quiet for a second. You're going to memorize it. And hopefully that this brings you joy and it calms you down. Okay, you open your eyes, 3, 2, 1. Now, next time you feel stressed or upset or overwhelmed, I'd like you to visualize this nature scene and it will transform your energy, whatever's going on around you, however you're feeling. And it sounds like a little silly or corny, maybe not, but it does have a life. It will change something within you, and then it'll become easier and easier to do, and you'll be calmer, quicker. Okay, so there you go. So you can practice this for a second, a couple times a week, and before you know it, you'll be really good at it, and it'll be easy to do, and you'll be able to calm your spirit down. Okay, I'm just going to mention, and Michael's going to be able to do a lot more speaking about this subject because I don't know what to say. So I'm going to tell you our subject tonight before our guest comes on is ghosts. And what is a ghost? So a ghost to me is a soul or the spirit of someone who's passed, someone who's died, a human, and they're seeking a home to rest in. Maybe it's someone who's haunting a location. Usually ghosts look pale white, visually, and there's no scientific explanation. So it's something paranormal. Now, I'm not speaking of spirits, or maybe you can call a ghost a spirit. It's entirely up to you, because obviously there's no right or wrong here, isn't there? It's up for interpretation. So you share with us, Michael, to you, what is ghosts?
Well, I think a lot of people think about ghosts and spirits and this. I have a little separation there. I would consider in the spiritual realm, there's many things in spirit. I think when we look at ghosts in particular, a lot of people's perception around that is that an earthbound spirit stuck in this, in between worlds, in this physical space before they cross over, and there's some theories that sometimes if there's a very traumatic experience that happens or something, sometimes that can stifle or cause like a sticking into the physical realm and they don't pass through. I haven't experienced that in the way that people seem to say it happens all the time. I mean, having an earthbound spirit, it's not as common as TV and media and everybody wants to sensationalize that to be. But I could tell you one of my earliest, my first encounter ever as a medium, as a child, it was in anyone that's familiar with New Jersey, exit 120 off the Parkway, Lawrence Harbor, my parents' first house. They lived by railroad tracks. And as a young child, we had, an old house, and it had the basement with those large metal doors that you open and walk down. I was exploring the property as a young child. I was probably, 4 or 5 years old when this happened. Maybe even a little younger. I don't know the exact age, but I was young. I was little. I don't even know what I was doing walking around my property and exploring my basement at that age. I was so little, but I remember seeing a train conductor in my basement, or a gentleman. I didn't really know what I was perceiving, but I knew I was experiencing someone there, and someone that I wasn't familiar with, but there was a man in my basement. Went upstairs, told my mom, hey, I just talked to this guy in our basement. My mom, I remember her face looking pretty shocked, and, well, tell me what happened. And needless to say, my family moved from this location not too long after, and they actually had to, move to a completely different town, buy a virgin piece of property, have it blessed by a local priest before the house was built on it. And it was, and this is a family that was pretty open to spirit and pretty open to understanding there's things beyond this physical realm, and they were still freaked out by that. But I would say, that was a ghost of a train conductor that was killed on the tracks behind my house. And whether he was killed right behind or on my property, prior to us having it, I don't know all the history of it, but I do know there, when later on, many years after, they did research that a train conductor was killed behind our property, and that's who I saw. And it was a pretty surreal experience. I saw him just as I would see you or anyone I'm speaking to, and I don't I don't recall at the young age if I saw him in like a semi-transparent state. Because I can tell you when I see spirit now as a medium, I will see them in almost a semi-transparent state. I mean, basically like you, but almost a semi-translucent version of you that if I concentrate on it enough, I could see through and I could see what's behind you. So yeah, I mean, ghosts are absolutely here. Are they as prevalent as Hollywood wants to make them out to be? I don't think so. As a medium, I've done many, I would say, haunting investigations early on. I don't do that now, but early on, for several years, I would do home clearings, I would do investigations. It would really have to be the right situation, right scenario with the right people for me to be pulled into something like that at this point in time. But I can tell you, more often than not, I would be able to debunk what was going on in that place. More often than not, there was some weird wiring going on, causing some issues in the home, or there's residual energy. See, one thing that people don't, I don't think people uncover all the aspects before we jump to the conclusion it's a ghost. And that's what we need to do. We need to look at all other possibilities before we say, hey, this place is haunted. And usually I would debunk it. And I think that's why a lot of the groups probably said, oh, maybe this guy isn't good, good for us because he's not really finding the ghost. He's debunking everything. And there were several situations where there was some unexplained phenomenon. There definitely was situations where I would encounter residual energy of like a fire or something that had happened, a death, a child passing in that home, a murder, things like that. And I would pick up on that energy. I would be able to give lots of evidence and validate what had happened to where the team and the investigators would actually have to research it. Sometimes they knew the prior history and they knew what happened. Sometimes they didn't. And more often than not, I would be able to debunk what was going on because there was a weird electrical interference, or, we were by water and certain things would happen, old homes. I mean, lots of stuff can go on in those things that aren't necessarily supernatural or hauntings. So we have to look at those things and we have to scrutinize. And I think we have to look at all aspects of it. But are there ghosts around us? Are there, is there demonic energies in this physical realm? Yeah, I see those things are absolutely here. But I think a lot of that has been blown out of proportion from Hollywood. And I think we have to take a step back and scrutinize those things before we jump to those conclusions that, hey, a ghost is here or there's a haunting. But does that stuff exist? Yes, absolutely. But is it as prevalent as people want to think it is? No.
So I've had a few experiences with ghosts.
So, and mhm. Yeah.
So I can tell you this is what I'm.
So let me preemptively let me just before you get into your story. Let me just share this real quick preemptively. So where I've seen the craziest stuff is A location where someone tried conjuring. Okay, so someone not knowing what they were doing, and they all of a sudden, decide they're a witch today, and they're going to try
Oh,
spell crafting or
oh,
create
no.
some potions or something like that, and they don't know what they're doing, and they open up a portal or something like that happens. So that's where I've seen some crazy energy, or I've seen some stuff go on, and I feel like it was really drawn into the place, into the location, by someone conjuring or someone practicing, what they would call witchcraft or black magic or things like that, and not necessarily know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that's where I see a lot of the problems, that people dabbling and not really taking it serious. And then, whoa, okay, so then crazy stuff starts happening, or they feel like they have something attached to them. Look, this stuff it's absolutely possible. And if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. Don't do it, because you don't know if you're opening a portal, if you're connecting to something that could be able to see. What people don't understand is, like, when we do this stuff, I've been doing this my whole life. I've connected and worked with energy extensively. I can immediately discern the energy of a spirit. So, and I can tell you more often than not, like, as a medium connecting, I'm connecting to the divine realms. It's a very high vibrating energy, and evil, demons, like that stuff it can't it can't manifest in those spaces. It would be like saying there's evil in heaven. Absolutely not. So it's more so in this physical earthly plane
Yes.
where we're going to see that stuff, So be aware if someone's like, hey, let's play with this Ouija board. I mean, if you
No,
don't have all your protection amulets on, you don't know what you're doing.
play with that.
Don't as it's a Milton Bradley game, or it was. I don't know who owns it now, but people don't take some of this stuff serious, and that's where a lot of the problems occur. So that's my 2 cents on it. Know what you're getting into, and what you'll find is most people that are doing investigating or dealing with ghosts, usually they have a lot of experience behind them, and usually they're protecting themselves pretty extensively. If they're not, well, I'm concerned for them. So, and that's one thing I have to say about our guest, Eric Vanderlaan. And I know from what we've discussed is, he approaches it in a very scientific, evidential way, like we do. So I'm fascinated to talk to him and what they do and what they implement to rule out some of the nonsense, or some of the residual energy, or things that we can say, hey, that was a crazy, weird occurring electrical thing going on, old wiring, near ley lines. I mean, there's a lot of things that can affect us, and can affect us mind, body, and spirit, that's here in the physical world. It doesn't necessarily have to be something, a haunting, a supernatural ghost, or something like that. So we do have to debunk all the other possibilities first.
So for me, my experience is I've met up with demons. I met up with, because I did house clearing. I had that, but that's not what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
With the ghosts, I actually, what I realize it is that I've had they've communicated with me, some ghosts in different locations, and contacted me. And so I've seen them, and I think that their energy to other people is something else. So in other words, like, I can see and have that experience, and they communicate to me, but maybe to somebody else who's not really versed in this, it's appearing to be something else, or it makes them uncomfortable. So I could tell you, home I'm living in right now, which was built in 1855. I had this I don't know if I mentioned this story. I had this very ornate mirror. I had gotten divorced, and I had this humongous mirror that we got literally when we first got married. It was one of the only things that I kept. And I brought it into this old house. And then I said, finally, I've got to get rid of this mirror. And I mean, it was beautiful, huge mirror. And so I decided I'm going to just lug it into the hallway. Did I tell you the story? Lug it into the hallway. I'm just going to leave it there. That night, I hear this woman and she's calling out to me, and she was annoyed because that's the place where she lives, in that area in the hallway. And she, I guess, didn't like it because she was seeing her reflection or whatever. And she called out to me and she kept saying, burn it. Because back then, I guess that's what you would do to it, not like throw it out down the trash on the side of the street. She was telling me to burn it because maybe that's what they did back then. They burned something that they didn't want. I was like, oh my God, I got to get it out of there. And it was funny because, strangely enough, my neighbor then had heard knocks at night on her, like she's on the other side of it. She'd hear it on her coming in through her wall. And so she was like convinced that this was this woman who passed away, and she had been in the house because it was such an old house. That was one situation. I had a bunch of situations. A woman living in this one house, and she actually was haunting the house, and she had clutches on the man that was living there. And she reached out to me and contacted me, and she was trying to scare me away. And the house was built on like this swamp, and then nobody wanted to buy it. And it was a beautiful little house, but nobody wanted to buy it, and she was haunting it. And then I've had dreams recently with children that were living in this house that I'm in. And I have many other stories that I can't almost remember right now. And I want to just prepare ourselves for our guest that's coming on. So I'm going to stop talking about this. And then at the end tonight, mention all of our guests coming in, because I know he's going to be calling in just a minute. So I want to share with everyone who this man is. So his name is Eric, and he's a team leader of War Party, which is a team of advanced technical investigations in the area of paranormal research based in South Florida. The team is innovative in research and development of equipment and use of the latest technology available in the field. The team includes technical experts, theologians, spiritual intuitives, scientific researchers, historians. And his website, where did I put it? It's warpartyparanormal.com. I'm sure he's going to mention it. Now, I met Eric either 2020 or 2021, and I found him, and I interviewed him. And I can tell you that he is someone who is not trying to hype up this kind of thing, hauntings, and something has either, like you just mentioned, something demonic or, some crazy paranormal. He more or less is trying to show you that it doesn't exist, but he will share with you that he has had experiences that places are haunted or there is something there, good or bad, right? And he does this. He's done it for years, extensively, and you can find him on Facebook and Instagram. And he should be joining us any second. So I just wanted to prepare everyone, because when he comes on, I'm going to let him on, and then just
and that's cool, and I think that's the right way you have to approach it. And look, I've had some of the craziest experiences in my life, and I spent some time up in Salem, Massachusetts, where the witch trials were, so and I had some crazy experiences there, and it's definitely there's some energetic stuff going on there that I haven't experienced anywhere else. So absolutely. Is there something to this? Yes. But I think we have to approach it in the best way possible to debunk anything we can. And I think one other thing that people need to understand too, so just a quick tidbit before Eric jumps on, is there's times when we may have some type of guardian angel, some type of guardian spirit watching over a space because of a certain situation that they could see potentially unfolding. And you may not have a haunting. You may actually have someone trying to protect something going on in a space. And just a quick example, this is a story I heard from another medium, and there was an investigation going on in a YMCA. And if those of you that don't know what a YMCA is, there's large pools. You could do all different classes and workshops, and it's something a lot of towns have that's kind of like a community center, and you can go through and do a lot of different programs there. Well, in the pool area, they kept on saying they felt something off there. Everyone kept feeling like there was a ghost, weird stuff was happening, weird noises, weird sounds. When a medium came in and they connected to that spirit, wasn't a ghost. It was actually, what I want to say, a guardian spirit watching over that, because they saw how distracted that guardian spirit saw how distracted the lifeguards were when the male lifeguards and the female lifeguards would work together, and they were watching all the young toddlers, and I think ages up to probably about 7 years old. And they saw that they were very distracted when it was co-ed. And the guardian spirit saw that a child was going to die if the distraction took place at a certain time. And it was, there was a lot of negative consequences that could have happened around that. And what would happen is, through the medium connecting to that spirit, the spirit conveyed the message that, I'm putting everybody on alert while this is going on, and the co-ed pool time is happening, because I cannot allow that toddler to die. I cannot allow that person to drown. And if I can keep everybody's focus on haunting and noises and sounds, they're going to be focused on the pool and the water and what's going on, and they're not going to be distracted or leave, and that child won't drown. And they actually changed around the curriculum and changed around how the co-ed swim time would happen. And would you believe all the noise and what they perceived as hauntings stopped? And a child never drowned in that location. And I think there may have been a prior drowning like a decade earlier. And so it's not always negative and evil, even though maybe we're perceiving it that way. But that was an interesting story I heard from another medium, where when they went in and connected, they found it was a guardian type spirit protecting the toddlers in the pool. And that's where the sounds and the noises and weird things would happen. It was bringing everybody's awareness to something not right in this space. And look, at that spirit did its job. I'm not sure which child it saved or what the exact situation was, but I could tell you, when that medium connected, from that moment on, there wasn't a drowning in that space. So that quote unquote ghost served its purpose and protected life. So it's not always a negative haunting or a ghost per se.
No, I don't think it's like, when I say ghost, though, I'm not saying, I guess ghost refers to something negative and more haunting, whereas,
well, I think people have a preconceived notion around it, ooh, ghosts, and but honestly,
too much Halloween.
yeah, exactly. But
Halloween did it.
the big thing with that is, unfortunately, Hollywood and the movies and over dramatizing things has done a very, very big disservice to this and to mediums and psychics and people that are truly doing this in the right way and truly wanting to debunk it and get to the source. Look at it. If something's haunted, if a space is haunted, well, let's debunk everything else and let's get to the bottom of it. Let's see what's going on so we can approach this in the best way, and obviously if you're going in and doing an investigation for TV, the more haunted it is, or the more haunted we perceive this haunting is, the better the views are going to be, the more money that production is going to make. So, and unfortunately, that's not the right reasons for doing it. No. Now, I can tell you, for myself, I've gone into a home where the family felt it was haunted and it was residual energy, and we lifted that energy and we cleansed it over a period of time, and it was an amazing shift that happened within everybody in the family. So can it be residual energy? Yes, absolutely. Can we debunk electrical problems and other things? Yes. And I'm really curious to talk to Eric about this and see what he's come across, and I'm sure he's probably been able to debunk a lot of hauntings in that way.
He's coming on to just message me, so he'll be on any second.
But is there a spiritual realm? Do we talk to spirit? Can spirit inhabit this physical realm with us? Absolutely. I mean, do these things occur? Yeah, I think we would be foolish to say it doesn't, and so many people focus on the love and light. And yeah, we want to focus on the love and light. And as a medium connecting to the divine realms, that is love and light. and there is no evil that resides in that realm.
No.
And I think some people get a mixed message with that, or they don't quite understand it. So I'm glad we're here talking about this. I'm glad we have someone on that is a professional and they're approaching it and doing it in the right way.
Well, we're coming from a place that's more high vibrational. That what you
Yeah.
just like you mentioned the Ouija board and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it is. It's
That's
low
vibration.
vibration.
That's
Yeah.
low vibration.
Mhm.
That and you shouldn't
Yeah.
be poking the bear. You don't mess
Yeah.
around with that. It's not it's not something that you can kind of put back in the box. As soon as you open
Yeah.
it up,
So,
all
but
bets
and
are off.
I'll give you a short story before Eric jumps on. And if he jumps on, you can cut me off. But as a teenager, in a development that was near my house,
Mhm.
well, I was actually in my friend's neighborhood. There was a river, and there was satanic worshipers doing seances and
Oh,
conjuring and doing all this crazy stuff back in the woods. And we came across it and we saw this stuff. And this is something that was going on for a period of time. But I'll tell you, as wild as this sounds, there was over in that woods where that had occurred, there was a number of suicides and there was a number of deaths. Now, did that contribute to it? Very possibly could have. Did anyone investigate it? Not that I know of, but I can tell you really weird stuff happened in that environment
mm.
after, satanic seances and worship and all this crazy stuff was happening. So that's why I say when people don't know what they're getting into and they're trying to conjure, they think it's funny, or some kids get together and they decide they're gonna create a spell, or they want to make a love potion, or whatever it may be. Look, you better know what you're getting into before you start getting into it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I know when you delve into that, whatever if you're doing it to somebody, if you're doing some action with a bad intention, it's going to boomerang back to
Mm.
you tenfold.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a good idea. It's really not a good idea at all.
No, no, not at all.
Bad news.
Look,
Yeah.
energy is the basis of everything, and what we put out will what we receive. So we have to be very, very mindful of that. Absolutely. And it's something, something we have to remind
Oh,
ourselves of
there he
constantly.
is.
Logging on, logging on.
Hi, welcome to Two Psychics.
Hello, Eric. Pleasure. Pleasure to
Can you
have
hear
you
me?
with us.
Okay, perfect. It was showing my mic is mute. I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm
Oh, it's all
airheaded.
good.
Great, because I had said 8:15, and then I did an introduction. I said, okay, now where is he?
No. Like I've done a few podcasts recently, and they've been sending me through Facebook Messenger, and I'm like scrolling through Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, where's the link? Where's the link? I'm like, oh my God, she emailed it to me. So I'm sorry.
Well, you are here. You are in the right place, and we are
I've
so
arrived.
thankful that you're here with us.
Yay. This is Michael Edley.
Nice to meet you, Michael.
Pleasure, Eric. And I'm fat. So Mary and I were talking a little bit about ghost hauntings, a little bit of background. And one thing that I'm fascinated by, and Mary had spoke about this several times, is you approach this in what I want to say a scientific, evidential manner. You want to debunk things. You want to get to the bottom of what's here, and are there other things that maybe people are misconstruing or see or thinking it's a ghost and it's not. And I really, I find that very, very interesting that you approach it that way. And I have to say, I think that's fantastic that you do that.
Yeah, when we're presenting evidence, like when we present it, we want people to think like, oh wow, like we want to be like we don't want to have any doubts. Like my theory is if there's any doubt, you just throw it out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that obviously makes you much more credible when you're doing this and you're presenting it.
It's all about credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I'd like to open with a little bit and just discuss a little bit, what are some things that maybe people misinterpreted as a haunting or a ghost or a demon, and you guys were able to debunk it? I know, ley lines, electrical wires in the house, a lot of different things that I think people
Well,
can perceive as that. Can you share a little bit of that with us and things you've
that's
been?
real easy. We can talk about our last residential case. I won't get it into any specifics because they are private. But and if there are any people that are in the paranormal field, listen carefully because we kind of made a mistake, but we learned from it. So we were asked to come out to a house where they said they were experiencing paranormal activity. It was a husband and wife, and they had they had a teenage girl and a very young, like toddler. I don't know, maybe like 3. And so we arrived, and right off the bat, like red flags were flying up, and I didn't listen to them, but like the property was fenced all the way around, and there was all this crap. It was like almost like a junkyard.
Mm.
And there was another like group of people living like in a beat up old trailer, like camper trailer. And the guy walks out and he's double fisted with beer. And starts talking. He's like, "Oh, I've been drinking all day, whatever." And he's telling us that his wife um was inside and was running late because she was cleaning up the house for us. So okay, whatever. So we go in there. Just to make a long story short, I mean the place was a mess. Um, Basically, they're both addicts. I don't know what kind of drugs they were doing. Um, so they walked out of the house, and this was just like a pre-investigation. We just do a walkthrough, get to know the people. They seem pretty normal when we do the first initial contact, was just by telephone. We do a telephone interview. Um, there were no flat red flags. They seemed pretty normal. But when we walked in the house, I mean, the 3-year-old was in diapers, soiled, like no one was taking care of the child. Um, After they left the house, we're walking around, doing our sweep and everything, a BMF and temperature change, things like that. And there's gunshot shells like all over the place.
Ooh.
You can see splatters of blood like on the wall in the living room, like someone had like stuck a needle and like like blood
Oh,
shut
wow.
out, like they were shooting up. And we didn't realize, but we were under security cameras and it had audio, and they were listening and watching the whole time. And like under our breath, we're like, "Holy shit, what do we walk into?"
Mm.
And so they come back in, and the guy like's like all pissed off. And the first thing he does is goes to his room, doesn't even look at us, like storms into his room and shuts the door. And I'm like, that's where all those boxes of ammo was. And I'm like, so, and you might like this. Our co-founder, God rest her soul, Scotty Burns. She passed away. She's a badass. She actually used to be a bouncer, a biker. She's like taller than me. I think she's 6'3".
Yeah.
She's strapping with a sidearm. So every investigation, we're like armed. We carry our permits. And she was like straight up with her. She's like, listen, there's nothing really paranormal here. You got to get rid of your boyfriend. You got to straighten up your life. Like pretty much like we're like a family drug counselor.
Mm.
So, when the guy let us in, when we first got there, he locked the gate. So like when we walked out, the gate's locked. And I'm like, what if this guy doesn't open the gate, So keep a long story short, he did open the gate. We got out. But next time I go to something like that, I'm not locking myself inside. I'm not
Mm.
going in. But we get a lot of cases like that. It's really not paranormal. We, figure out something else. Lately, it's been, just like drug abuse.
Wow. Mm. Now, so that's one extreme of debunking it, or people stoned out of their mind and maybe thinking they're seeing things. But what
Right.
would be the other extreme? Was there a
The
situation
opposite.
where you're like, we're debunking there's nothing here, and you're just like, wait a second, what is going on? There is something
Oh
serious happening.
yeah.
What's that,
I've
if you
been
know?
in some hairy places. Okay, so I've been doing this for like over 10 years.
Mm.
And I got into this as being skeptical. I just like I was a big fan of Ghost Hunters, and I was watching what they were doing and stuff. And I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but in the
Yeah.
beginning, there were a lot of episodes where like they declared the place wasn't active, it wasn't haunted.
Mhm.
So like I was like, damn, I want to like go out to these places and I want to see what it's like. So that's how I got into it. But then I learned to open my mind and noticed that I have some type of I don't want to say I'm sensitive or intuitive. There's something that I have that helps me get drawn to certain areas and I start picking up evidence. So the extreme, it would be the Aerojet rocket facility. We actually filmed an episode there. I have a show with my partner Mike, The Haunted Files. It streams on Paraflix. We're actually the #1 rated show, so we're real happy
Excellent.
about that. So we did a
Congratulations.
thank you. So we went to this location. I've been there many times, and I found out about this location by watching one of those python hunting shows, like on the Travel Channel.
Yeah.
And so there was this one episode where they were going to a prime location where they're finding pythons. I don't know if people up north know that we have a big python epidemic here, and they're like multiplied. So we have python hunters that are trying to like eradicate them because they're endangering all the original animals that are there now.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're going out to this rocket facility and they're talking about how it's haunted. I'm like, wait a second, rocket facility haunted? I've never heard about that place. So I had to check it out. So the last time I was there, well, first let me tell you the quick story about it. It was a rocket facility in the middle of the Everglades where they tested fuel for rocket engines for NASA. And Aerojet has an interesting story. A background story is I don't know if you're familiar with Jack Parsons. He was
Yes.
the father of
Mhm.
rocketry, and he was
Yeah.
also very active in the occult. He was like an
Mhm.
Aleister Crowley disciple. So this was happening back in the 1950s and 60s, and Jack Parsons, he was part of Aerojet rocket, the rocket testing facility, and they had one out in California. And there's actually you can go on Amazon. There's a series about his life, a biography called Dark Angel. So check that out. It's pretty weird. So anyway, the place has been abandoned since the 60s, and the last time we were there, the only way to get there is by either walking or on bike. So we're like got our backpacks on with all our equipment and then
Wow.
some. That was 3 miles each way. So
Oh,
yeah, so there's this one. The whole place looks like an abandoned town. There's all these
Wow.
buildings where the rocket engines were located, and they were blasting them and testing them. There's actually a rocket silo underground with the rocket still in it out there that they left behind.
Ooh, that's wild.
Yeah, and they dredged a canal that went out to the bay, that went out to the Atlantic Ocean, and that's how they brought these big rocket engines in on like a what do you call it? Like one of those flat,
Oh, the barge. Yeah,
like
bring
a
it in with the
barge,
barge. Yeah,
right up
yeah.
these canals that they dredged
Mm.
out into the middle of the Everglades. So
Wow.
just recently, well, maybe it's been going on for a few years, and I saw this. People have been practicing black magic, satanic
Mhm.
worship, Santeria, and I have a feeling it has something to do with the relationship of or connection of Jack Parsons to Aerojet rocket facility, and the energy there is dark. So
Mm.
I'm trying to make it. It's like so, like it's crazy, like what like transpired going there. I'm trying to make it short.
Yeah.
So the the first time we went there, it was almost like we felt like there was something there that was like preventing us from going to the facility.
Mm.
So my other two buddies went with us, and they're like big, heavy dudes. So they don't want to bike. They're a little bit lazy. So they got these electric scooters that they ride on. It's hilarious. I could show a picture. But my friend's electric scooter, he just recently got it, never had a problem with it, completely wouldn't work for some reason. And then later the day, he started working again for no reason. So it was like almost like it didn't want us to be there. And then the last time we went there, my girlfriend Franny went with us. So we bike there and we get about halfway and we take a break and she like falls to the ground and her eyes roll back and she passes out from like heat
Wow.
exhaustion. And my buddy Mike's like, dude, we gotta like take her to the hospital or something. She's like, no, no, no. And she threw up. And she's like, no, 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 I'm okay. I just need to rest for a while, drink some water. She's a trooper. And it's funny, well, not funny, but like right where she was having that moment where she like passed out, there's this big rock with the pentagram on it right next to her.
Wow.
So we continued on. So later that night, we were just getting some crazy stuff. So there's this one building. It looks like it was like made for doing some type of occult activities there. There's pentagram, there's all these type of symbols that I haven't seen before. There's upside down crosses, there's these little dolls. There's also like a big pentagram in one building where there's like a big blood stain, like they were doing bloodletting. I don't know if it was animal or what. And
Wow.
actually, they found bodies of missing people out in that area. And just recently they found another one like 2 months ago. So the vibe when you walk in, it slaps you in the face, and it's the only place where like all my devices pick up things related to Satan, the devil, anything with hate. It was just really wild. Like we have a device called the Ovilus. It senses changes in the atmosphere, and there's a word bank in there. And supposedly the spirits can manipulate the atmosphere to pull out these words to communicate with us. We got ghost, we got Satan, we have a spirit box that sweeps through radio stations automatically. Like if you're turning the knob on an old radio going through the stations, you hear the white noise.
Yeah.
They say spirits can communicate through that. We got Satan multiple times in one session there.
Wow.
It almost got to the point. It got to the point that night where we were like, it was just getting overwhelming, and we had to leave. We just didn't want to like push it. It got to the point where at that moment, I was in one of these rooms by myself, and I was just like, sitting there messing with my recorder, and my friend Mike is outside. He's like, Eric. He's like, Eric. And him and Joe like start walking into the room. They're like, Eric. And I'm like, not even paying attention to them. Like I'm zoned out, like they're not there. It's almost like I lost time, but it didn't seem like it. And they were like, I was like completely out of it. And we were like, and that's when we were getting Satan and devil on the spirit box. And we were like, you know what? Let's not push it and let's go home.
That's wild. Now, were you hearing that real time while you were in the space? Was it coming through, or after you listened?
Oh no, yeah, definitely. If you watched the episode Aerojet Rocket Facility on Paraflix, the Haunted Files, you're gonna see all that evidence we captured.
Wow.
And after we biked 3 miles back to the cars, we did a blessing, saging, holy water, the whole thing, just to make sure nothing follows us home.
Yeah.
So do you think it was haunted because people went there and utilized the space to do bad things, or was it haunted back from the 1960s?
And then people just capitalized on it.
No, I think it's haunted because people have been doing rituals there and opened up some kind of portal up there.
Yeah.
I've heard disembodied voices of a woman. I mean, I'm 3 miles out in the Everglades. How am I going to hear another voice of someone that, I should know it's with me, So it's really wild.
That's scary.
I love it though.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Mary Amy and I were having that discussion prior to you coming on of people conjuring and maybe people not necessarily knowing what they're getting into and dabbling, and then all of a sudden they don't know what's upon them. So
well, whether it's dark or not, I preach this to my team. We always go in there with respect.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you're dealing with dark entities or if you're dealing with spirits, I mean, they were people. There's body challenge, and you're going to want to talk to them like you're talking to like a normal person. Well, why are you going to ask them like a million questions like you're interrogating them? Sometimes, like we'll just hang out and have a good time, and we'll start picking up things like they're almost like wanting to be a part of it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. What's the process of preparation that you and your team do before you go into a space? Like, are you doing prayers of protection? Do you guys have, your wooden cross, your garlic and everything loaded in the backpack, or what's that process?
Well, it just depends on the situation. Me personally, like we don't do a ritual together. Everyone has their own little thing that they do. For me, like anything that's dark, they get their power through fear, um, through anger. The one thing I always tell any type of paranormal investigator, if there's something going on in your life, like you're fighting with your wife, or you're sick, or you're having mental or depression problems, or you're drunk, don't even bother going because like that's what they're searching out for. They'll cling on you. Seen it happen.
Mm.
But like, yeah, for me, like it's just more like not giving in to fear.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared because they don't understand things.
Mhm.
That's what I've like come to realize. But I am Christian. I do a prayer before, I do a prayer after, and after it may sound silly. You may have heard it from other people, but they listen and you tell them you don't have any right to follow me home. Um, that actually does work. So I do that after every investigation.
Mm. No, that's absolutely. I think you have to protect yourself out, and that's probably one of the most important things when you say just that preparation and that groundwork and making sure you have that solid foundation, protected by that divine light.
Yeah, and it's
Absolutely.
always go to good with a group. You don't want to go by yourself because you want to
Yeah.
always want to have some type of backup. If something happens to you.
So how many um people in the team of investigators do you have, and who are some of the members? You mentioned a few already. You're the team leader, and it's
Right.
War Party Paranormal. What's the name?
Yes. War Party Paranormal,
.com.
and we're huge. It's overwhelming sometimes. We got 30 team members.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Try managing 30 team members, but I would say like we probably have like maybe like a dozen that are active.
Mhm.
A lot of the team members are, like the OGs. We keep it 1 year War Party or War Party for life. So about a dozen that are active. We have like we're one family, but we're split up into different groups just because of traveling. Um, War Party Paranormal started in West Palm Beach. They asked me to do the South team, create a South team, cover Miami and Fort Lauderdale. So I created the South team, and yeah, I mean, we're non for profit. We're here to help people. We don't charge a dime. We always come back to you. You're always a client with us. And then we do interactive events at historical haunted locations around South Florida, just to preach the word out about what we do and just show people, what it's like to be a paranormal investigator.
Now, since the inception of all the new digital equipment and digital technology, like what are you guys using? Are you still doing any type of old school stuff, new digital cutting edge technology? What tell us a little bit about the equipment that you use.
Well, a little bit of both. We're a very eclectic group of people. We have people that are in the technology. We have people that are psychic mediums. We have a Reiki master. We have someone that practiced Wiccan. We had someone that was a pastor. Um, but we're mainly technology. And man, if you can get the technology to go with what the psychic mediums are picking up,
Yeah, yeah.
that's like that's a cherry on top of the cake or sundae. But I don't know. I like to keep it really simple. You see, when I first started, I was very skeptical and I didn't get much evidence, and it used to frustrate me. And I was with the previous team before that. And when I got to War Party Paranormal, we're very eclectic. And, I had people that taught me to open up my mind more, try to get a feel of the place. And the more I've been doing it, that's what I've been doing. And I don't know why, but like it's almost like a magnet. Like, I don't know I don't know if it's like intuition, but something pulls me. Like
Mm.
I'll go around. Like my last investigation was the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, which is huge, and there's all these little historical rail cars that have their own personalities, and like I'll walk around and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling the RV medical car tonight. And when I start investigating, like weird things start happening to the point where my name gets called out.
Mm.
But like for me, like I love technology, but I also like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Because that's what got me in trouble in the beginning is all the technology.
Mhm.
But, just a recorder. That's like, I mean, if you can get an electronic voice phenomenon on your recorder and they answer back a question intelligently, like how can you dispute that? I also like to use meters because different types. We have what's called the EDI. It's a data logger. It's pretty much like an all-in-one tool. And
Mm.
for spirits to manifest, they say that they do changes in the atmosphere. Like for electronic, they need energy. They can use EMF, electronic magnetic frequencies. We have this device can sense that, and a lot of people like that may sense something's paranormal. EMF can like lead to paranoia, and hallucinations. So like an old house with the faulty wiring and stuff like that with the real high EMF. Some people, their bodies can't take that.
Yeah.
Also, temperature changes. They say when something's trying to manifest, there's cold spots. So we're looking for that. Changes in the atmosphere, humidity and pressure, the vibration. So it can measure all those things in one device. And what I like to do is when we do a full out investigation is I'll sync that with my camera. So because we're always filming when we're investigating, because I want to get something that's
Mhm.
amazing. So of course when you're not filming, that's when things happen sometimes. But so yeah, I'll sync it up with my camera. So if something does happen, like hey, I heard a disembodied voice. Oh, I saw a shadow figure. I can timestamp that, go back to the EDI, and pull that up on the computer, and there's a graph with a timestamp on it. Like oh, there was an EMF hit when a high EMF hit when I saw that shadow figure,
Mm.
or the pressure was changing like crazy. Things like that.
Have you encountered, you mentioned the word portals. Have you encountered some kind of dimensional experience or a portal where you walked in and you just said you lost time? Have you had anything like that happen before?
Not really. Like maybe the closest thing is when I was talking to my spaced out, like at the Aerojet rocket facility. Um, you guys are gonna love this. I have been to the spiritual capital of the world, Casadega. I don't know if you ever guys
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
of that,
Mhm.
Casadega, Florida. So we were there at this bed and breakfast called the Ann
Mm.
Stevens House in Casadega, super
Mhm.
haunted. And we're actually filming with Univision. It's a Latin TV network. They're like the biggest, and we do shows for them, like stories, and we filmed there. And the lady there said that there's a portal out back. And I don't know if you know what like a REM pod is, but it's a device that alarms when it senses static. There's an antenna and then there's like a static
Mm.
field around it. So if anything breaks that static, it'll alarm.
Mm.
So I don't know if you ever seen the device with the antenna and they light up, and they
Yeah.
make a noise. Well, you remember like the old reindeers, like the big plastic ones that used to light up, like you put in front of your house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they had a dog that was like that, but it was rigged like a REM pod. And they were saying right here in my backyard, which was right next to a lake, where I think some people said there is a portal there. It's Native American. Um, it's located right there by their house. And that's where they placed that dog. And we were like just sitting out there, and the thing was just lighting up and lighting up. And they're like, yep, that's a portal right there. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So people don't know what Casadega is. It's a small town. where there's a spiritual town, the age of spiritualism in the early 1900s, where you can actually go there and do a seance and
Yeah, it's pretty well. It's
table
interesting because Casadega's is
table
connected
levitation.
to, yeah, that's connected to Lilydale, New York, in upstate New York. So
Exactly.
it's, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
forget the
interesting.
guy's name, but he moved down there
Mm.
to create this town. I know he was up from New York, but it's very cool. You can get your palms read and all kinds of
Mhm.
things. Very cool town.
So
You can
being a
feel it.
psychic medium, I'm kind of fascinated by the fact that you guys, use psychic mediums and have had experiences where your technology, your devices are picking up similar stuff to the medium. Can you
Mhm.
share some of that? Any of
Oh, I
those
got a perfect
stories?
example of this, and you guys should try it yourselves. So my buddy Mike, he's like a big tech guy. He created this experiment called the Delco experiment. His name is Michael Del Curl, and then said, "Hey, we'll just call it the Delco experiment." And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Estes method that people do, where they have headphones and they listen to the spirit box and they have a blindfold and they can't hear anything, but whatever they hear, they're just blurting it out. And then someone on the other side is
Hmm.
asking questions that they can't hear.
Oh
So
wow.
they're trying to get intelligent responses. Have you ever seen that?
No, no, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so we do a blend of that. It's almost like that on steroids.
Mm.
So back when the military was doing all these like weird
Mm-hmm.
testing people, like in the 1960s, they were
Yeah.
doing an experiment called the Gansfeld experiment, where they were testing people for ESP.
Hmm.
And the way the experiment worked was almost similar to the Estes method is they
Okay.
had headphones
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
but they were listening to white noise.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
they would have these ping pong balls placed on their eyes, and then there was a red light that would shine in their face.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then someone on the opposite end would flash these cards, and then they would like be able to call out what the figure is that was on the card.
Mhm.
But my friend Mike created these goggles that are luminescent red goggles. They look like the steampunk goggles. And they can stay lit, they can flash, and they can strobe.
Hmm.
So with this experiment, and especially with people that have gifts, well, everyone has a gift of being a psychic medium, but some have it stronger than others.
Mhm.
Um, if your mind is open like that, we've had people who've experienced crazy things to the point where they were like seeing visuals, being touched. Have you ever heard of Patty Negree, the Good
Sounds
Witch?
familiar.
She's been on Ghost Adventures. She's like a
Mm.
famous psychic medium. Um, I had her do it at a Paracon in Lake Tahoe, and we were in this wedding chapel of the of this hotel that was burnt, and we had her like in the wedding chapel, like in the chair. And during the session, she said all the way the back wall was brick, and she said she could see the bricks melting,
Mm.
and then she could see faces popping in and out, different faces. And it was weird, like while we were doing that with her, like that REM pod I was mentioning, plus other
Mm.
devices were going off around her.
No, wow.
To the point where like something simple as like a motion, this ball that senses motion, it'll light up. You can get it at your pet store. They're cat balls. Like cats like play with it.
Yeah.
They light up.
Yeah.
We like to use something as simple as that.
Mm.
And and those were going off. And when it went off, she said cat. So like, how would she know that?
Mm.
So yeah, it was really weird. In your area up in New Jersey, April Doucette, New Jersey psychic housewife. She's done the
Mm.
experiments, and we just gotten some amazing results.
Cool. What have you done? Have you done locations in New Jersey? Have there been any haunted locations you guys have come up here for? Or
Yeah, we filmed an episode. You know where Selma Mansion is?
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, we filmed a two-part episode there. We filmed just recently. We were at the oh my God, my mind went blank in Fieldsboro, New Jersey, White Hill Mansion. That was in our
Okay.
last season that we just finished. That was with April Doucette. That's in New Jersey.
Can you talk a little bit about that, or is that still?
Yeah, of
Oh yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you experience there?
Well, you know what's so cool about those places? Like, and a lot of reason why I'm into the paranormal is like I love that old history,
Yeah.
Revolutionary War. And I mean, if just to like get evidence of those times, and it's almost like you're going back in time. It's like so
Mm.
cool. And I want to tell you, White Hill Mansion is one of the most haunted locations I've ever been to. I mean,
Mm.
it was wild, and you'll see it in our video. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there, but like when you first walk in, there's the foyer with the stairs, and you go to the right, there's like a sitting area. And we were just sitting there being quiet, and I'm just hearing footsteps above me, like nonstop.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard like footsteps so distinct. It was wild. And then it was like during the summertime, so there's no wind. It's calm. It's hot. For no reason, the wind. We're sitting there in the room, and the window panes are shaking for no reason. It was
No.
just really wild. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's a really cool place. That
Mm.
dates back to the Revolutionary War, and then Selma Mansion was pretty cool too.
Mm.
My girlfriend Franny, she was in the children's room and got some amazing activity there. Some interaction, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get like here in Monmouth County, pretty close to where I'm at, in Englishtown, and some, you have some of the old battlefields, and you'll find,
Yeah,
there's a lot of pretty wild energy on some of those battlefields, and
yeah,
yeah. So that's, yeah, Jersey's got a lot of history. So yeah, we're gonna have to bring you aboard for something that we're doing, and come out here, and we'll all check
yeah,
out something.
definitely. I love going up there. Man, I wish I lived closer. So yeah, so like on our show, The Haunted Files, that started just because, like whenever we investigate, we like to film and we like to show off our evidence that we've captured, and we're like, hey, why don't we film something? And I became good friends with Patty and Agree. She's part owner with Paraflix and Natalie Jones. So they brought us aboard, and
What
I
is
mean,
the
it's very raw. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to make sure that everybody can like knows the information. You have to give it to me so I can have people go to it. What is the show called that you have, and can they watch it?
It's The Haunted Files.
Haunted Files.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you go to www.paraflix.com,
Mm,
you can upload that to your phone, your TV, through your Roku, your Fire Stick,
okay.
all kinds of. It's like the Netflix of the paranormal. So
Oh,
it's all shows
wow.
that they have there that are paranormal ghost hunting shows. They have cryptids, they have UFOs, they have horror movies. Because I don't know if you guys are big into the TV shows, the paranormal shows, but they're pretty much non-existent anymore. Travel Channel and Discovery, they're not showing anything new. So
Mm.
this is where people go if they want to see something new and original.
Hmm,
And it's very affordable.
cool. I love it. I want to check it out.
Yep.
Do you find a lot of locations that are near water? Because I mean, something I've experienced, obviously the water can magnify the energy. Definitely
Mhm.
something that I pick up on as a medium. Do you find that same type of thing? If there's,
Almost definitely
yeah,
being from South Florida
hmm,
with that the water tied into the limestone. I
yeah, yeah,
mean, a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of crazy things down here that date back almost prehistoric. Um, and we're like right there on sea level. Some places like just below sea level. They say in 20 years, South Florida will be underwater, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, you go to Miami Beach. I mean, every time there's like a high tide or a storm, they got pumps that like pump out water to get
hmm.
water off the roads. It's just crazy, and they're never going to be able to keep up with that. Just
Wow.
our environment is not doing too well. Hopefully, it'll get better.
Hmm. Now, what would you say? would be like someone that's experiencing weird occurrences in their house, you know, a light flashing, they think they're hearing a knock. What would be some suggestions you would give our listeners or our audience that maybe they themselves, before they reach out to you and they're like, we have a haunting on our hands? What would be some
Right.
things you would say, hey, maybe try this process and procedure or these process of elimination before you reach out to us? What would be some good suggestions of what our
I
listeners could do?
I like to tell people if they're getting consistent activity, first of all, to make a journal of it. Every time it
Mm.
happens, write it down, the time, the day, just to see if, we can see some type of correlation that could be related to something. When we first do the interview over the phone, we're asking questions like, about their home. We've been doing any renovations? How old is it? Any history on the land? Um, has anyone else experienced what you're experiencing? Any problems with the family? Anyone, we're up front like, with alcohol, drug problems, things like that. But yeah, if you're experiencing something, I mean, it's funny. Like my son sometimes will come and stay with me, and I don't know. I got these lights. When they start going dead, they start like flashing, and sometimes they start flashing. Like I could almost do it like where I ask a question and they'll flash. And I like the other day, I freaked them out. I'm like, "What's going on with the light? What's going on here?" It's like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, no, no worries. It's dying on me." Yeah, check your light bulbs, things like that. Your common sense things. Don't jump to conclusions.
Mm.
Try to find an answer. But some people get passionate about what's happening, and they do jump to conclusions. And I can't tell you how many messages I'll get, like a picture or something, or they'll ask me a question, and it gets to the point where like I can't. I have to tell them like, listen, I can't go off by what you're showing me. I would have to actually be there to investigate it, see what actually is going on. And I let
And
them
it,
know that, when I go into it, I'm going into it trying to find answers. So I'm going to try to debunk your picture. I'm going to try. So don't get mad, but I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah.
find an explanation.
And is
Like,
that what happens a lot? People will reach out with video or some photos, and they'll say, "Hey, check this out." And
yeah, I get a
well,
lot of those.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, I had someone, like this. So I had someone that said, "Hey, I captured a video of these fairies in front of my house." And I'm like, "What?" And I want to send you the video. So they send me the video, and it's a security cam, like in the corner in the front door.
Mhm.
We had a lot of mosquitoes here, and that's what it was. It was mosquitoes like flying in front of the security cam. And they're like, "I got fairies outside my house, and I got aliens, and I got all kinds of things that are going on inside as well." As soon as they told me about the fairy thing, I'm like. But people get angry. They don't want to hear it. So
Yeah.
there's been times where they'll go to another team because they want someone to agree with them. Yeah, there's been
No, that's
times there's been times where people had us come, and we're like the entertainment. We're like the ghost adventures. They got their friends there. They're drinking beer and they're hanging out, and I'm like,
It's a party.
right. They make a party out of it, and I'm like, well, we could do that for a fee, but like if we're doing something serious, um, we do take it serious. But yeah.
Have you ever visited any, I don't know if this is something you've done, but for some reason it popped into my head, any underground tunnels?
Yeah. Actually, the first one that can come, well, I have family. My mother, she's Ecuadorian, so I have family there. And I don't know if you're familiar with Quito, Ecuador. It's up in the mountains. And Quito, Ecuador is the capital of Ecuador, and it used to be an Inca capital. So the Spanish built on top of it. So underneath, there's tunnels and there's all type of, like buildings that were there that they built on top of. So my sister and I stayed at this old hacienda Was built like in the 1700s up in the mountains, and it overlooks downtown Ito. And the reason why we went there is because they have these old Inca tunnels underneath it. And this was like in my early stages, so I didn't have a lot of equipment and I didn't really get anything, but I don't know. You could feel the vibe. The weirdest thing that happened was I was doing like an interview with the owner's son, and we were just sitting out there in the patio, and we're talking about like urban legend and myths and stuff like that. So we wrap everything up and we go back to our rooms. And within a split of the second, like they were like cabins, they're old, they were like from the 1700s. They start shaking and like for like a split second and stop in the blink of an eye. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And the owner's son is knocking on the door and he's like, hey, you need to get out and we need to be in an open area. It was an earthquake. I've never experienced an earthquake. And you could see, like, I looked down where the city is, the lights went out, and it was not funny, but like just recently, like near Ecuador, there was a massive earthquake where a lot of people died. And it was just like, wow. I mean, it happened a split second for me. I didn't even know what it was like until the guy knocked on the door. But luckily, like that was it. Nothing ever happened after that. So I don't know. The only thing I could think of is like now I don't think anything's coincidental anymore. Here we're talking about folklore and myths, and then we get like an earthquake. Like I don't know.
And I just want to say that this video, it got a little wonky. Times here. No, and I was like, what is going on here? So some of the time when you're talking about something, I don't know if spirit wants you to or ghosts want you to. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if
what I
that's
was
related.
thinking.
I don't know if that's related, but
I can
technology,
believe that.
yeah, we get all of our intuitive psychic abilities on one Zoom call.
No, I'm telling you, like, there's so many weird things that happen. Like, how could this happen at this moment while we're doing this? Um, Real quick, I'll share another real quick story. So, in Central Florida, there's the Gilchrist County Jail, which is abandoned and haunted. And I'm good friends with the owner. So we went there and filmed an episode, and we were outside. You know, this is our first time there. We're gonna film like hopefully catch something paranormal. Actually, the owner Lee was just telling us about the history about the place. We were just filming a walkthrough, and then we were like going in to get the additional equipment. And there's this guy standing out there in a cowboy hat, and he's just like standing there staring at the jail. And Lee was just telling us the story about a father and son that were locked up there. And the father was eventually executed because he shot and killed a sheriff. And when that did happen, when he was executed, his son was locked up in the jail where, you know, they transferred his father from. So they were both locked up there. Well, that day that happened, the son hung himself. So this guy's out there and, you know, he introduced himself and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I had a strange urge to come over here, and my daddy was locked up there and hung himself, and my granddaddy was locked up there and was executed for murdering a police officer. And I've been wanting to come here for many years, but for some reason, I just felt like I needed to come today. How weird is that, right?
Yeah,
And he's like, he drew like a
synchronicities.
few hours just to come out there. Here we're like filming like an investigation and a documentary, and you know, we always get the history, and then here we got living history that just pulled up. So I don't know. Like
How
we
cool
didn't
is that?
advertise, like he just got up one day, said, like, hey, I'm just gonna go to the jail and check it out.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It's just like weird things like that happen to us. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, those synchronicities are occurring. That's pretty wild.
Yep. Should play the police song in the background.
Very cool. So, Eric, I'm curious. So, what I always like to know, the path that led you to be the investigator. Were you obsessed with this stuff as a kid? Were you like into the paranormal, or is this something that kind of just
Yeah,
unfolded?
yeah, no, I always been into the unknown and wanting
Mm,
answers and things like that. And like I
cool.
told you, like I right when it became popular on TV, I just thought it was the coolest thing. Like how
Yeah,
cool would
yeah.
it be to go and what even like if I don't believe that it's haunted, like it'd be cool to walk in that building
Mhm.
in the dark,
Yeah, yeah.
man, to experience something and if that was real. So that's what got me into it, and I just got hooked, and
So you just jumped in and
it never.
you never jumped out.
Well, yeah, it's funny. The way I started was like, we have St. Augustine, which is the oldest city in the US, super haunted. We have Key West,
Yeah.
which in Spanish is called Cayo Hueso. In English, that's Island of the Bones. It's an
Mm.
ancient cemetery that the Tequesa Indians used to bury their dead there. When the Spanish discovered it, they discovered the bones there.
Mm.
So yeah, so I would go to all these like ghost tours, and then I would start getting things. And then I went to this one ghost tour to the Deering Estate, which is known as the most haunted location in Miami. And I went to that one and I spoke to the guy there, and I'm like, hey, can I just like, I want to be like a volunteer. I'll carry equipment. I just want to see what an investigation's like. And then he's like, yeah. And then before I knew it, I'm doing like interactive events at the Deering Estate. I'm on Spanish TV. With the guy that was on that team, and I started investigating with like some of the top people in the field. I don't know if you're familiar with the people from Ghosthunters, but they had a spinoff called Ghosthunters International.
Yeah.
Learned a lot from Rob Damaris. And then when I got to War Party Paranormal, the co-founders, um, Scotty Marla Burns, she recently passed away, and John Adderall, they're our co-founders, and like them combined, have probably been doing it for hundreds of years.
Wow.
I'm just exaggerating, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Long
no,
time.
yeah, so like that's where I got my roots, and that's where
Yeah.
I
Cool.
learned everything from them, and learned how to be, they're into technology. We do have two psychic mediums, but they're very skeptical about that. So
Mm.
they're not afraid to put someone into the rigor because, you know, we've had people that claim things and that weren't, and then you don't want them to be like on a residential case. And we've had
Yeah.
someone like start blurting out things that wasn't true and scaring the people that were there. So it just got things worse. So anyway, yeah. So yeah. So that's how I learned how to ghost hunt. And I can't tell you how many residential cases I've done. I haven't done many lately, just because of the life, family,
Mm.
and then filming the haunted files. That's really taken off. So we're working on season 4 now. So it's
That's very cool.
yeah.
Now, if someone has some crazy situation unfolding in a place by them, can they contact War Party to come out to do an investigation, or if someone in the Florida area, or
Yeah,
someone?
we encourage it. And if we can't come out and help you, we're connected with other groups throughout the US. We can get you connected with a good group.
Very cool, very cool. I'm sure you're gonna. I'm sure your
War
phone's gonna
Party,
be ringing.
warpartyparanormal.com.
That's so cool.
One day I'm going to go on one of these investigations with
Come
you.
on down. It sounds like you guys like the water, so we got a lot of that. You'll like
Yeah,
it down here.
definitely.
Mojitos and ghosts and suntan oil. No, but yeah, come on. You always got an open invitation. I can set something
That's
up.
awesome.
I can say from the first, I remember when I don't know how many times that I spoke to you, but you definitely have shifted. You shifted more, definitely more open mind. You were more skeptical before
Since the
that.
last time you spoke to me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And but you know what?
Yeah.
That's good though because you took it
Because
serious.
I've been experiencing more things. So
Yeah, yeah. You
I
have
mean,
to. It's like
since
you can.
then I can't tell you what I've experienced.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? It time too. More comes you becomes uncovered and word of mouth. So you get deeper. You go down farther down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I got a pretty busy year. You know, we get invited to Paracons. We got a few coming up this year, so we're now special guests. I mean, we're going to be, I can't even believe I'm at this stage in my life where like I'm going to be at a Paracon in Illinois, Rock Island, and I'm going to be doing, they invited me to be the guest of VIP for the investigation. They're giving us like a 2 hour stage where we're first going to play our episode that we filmed there. We're going to do a Q&A, and then Patty Negree's going to be there, and then we're going to do a Delco session there. So, I mean,
Nice.
I could have never imagined like doing that now. It's like crazy. Like the first out of state Paracon that I did was at White Hill Mansion. And, you know, a lot of those people that visited are in that area, New Jersey,
Hmm.
Philadelphia. And it was crazy. Like people were coming up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, War Party Paranormal. I know you guys." And I'm like, "Can we get a picture with you?" And I'm like, just in like amazement. Like I couldn't believe like people up there know who we are. I do also have a radio show that we do every Monday, but yeah, I mean it's a lot of hard work, but you know we got some amazing fans out there and
No, that's cool. And you're
love
you're
what I
doing it in the
do.
right way though. That's what I like about War Party. You guys, you're debunking the stuff that needs to be debunked. You're going into it in a very what I feel is a very evidential, validating way. You're eliminating any of the stuff that
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
eliminated and really, really going for what's happening, what's really occurring there. And it's cool that
right.
you're working with psychic mediums too, and
Yeah,
I think having all that, is definitely putting you guys at the forefront of doing it.
yeah. And with the Haunted Files, you know, it's just like a complete documentary. We start off with the history of the location and what happened there. We have interviews, what's happened there recently, and then we'll do an investigation. And we're not going to start yelling out, you know, the devil's here and
Hmm.
something's paranormal. We're going to show you what we capture, and we're going to let you decide and take it and what you think of it. So what you
Yeah,
see is what you
that's
get.
awesome.
Yep.
Now, Eric, I might butcher your last name, but it's Eric Vanderlaan. Vanderlaan.
Perfect. Yep.
Vanderlaan. Ah,
Vanderlaan. Yep.
excellent. So, Eric, anyone out there, any of our listeners that want to experience what you guys are doing, want to watch some of the episodes, can you give us all your contact information and the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, the best way to reach War Party Paranormal is our website. Everything is linked there, warpartyparanormal.com, and we're on all the social media platforms. Me personally, I'm Ghosthunter of South Florida. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and then the Haunted Files. That's our show. We're on the streaming network called Paraflix. They're like the Netflix of the paranormal. You can go to paranormal. No, you can go to paraflix.com. And actually, we got a discount code. If you sign up for 1 year, you can get 25% off your annual subscription if you put in the Haunted Files 25.
Oh, very cool. So they
It's
can
like
check it out and
4.99
they
a
can get a
month.
deal.
Super cheap. Yep. And you can also do a free trial. So if you don't like it, change your mind. Do whatever you like. Hope you don't change your mind. And we're not the only show there. There's tons of shows there. So hopefully
No,
people will like it.
it's fascinating, and I really like the way you guys are doing it. I really like the way your
Thank
group
you.
is doing it and how you're approaching things.
Hmm.
I think if we can do things, as mediums, as psychics, as paranormal investigators, if we can do it in an evidential way that validates the truth around it, then I think that's, bringing that truth into light is just going to make this more open to more people, and I think people that
Yeah.
are a little hesitant or what is this, is that legit, is this real, doing it in the way that you're doing it,
Right.
I think shows the way it should be done, you know. So
Yeah.
anybody out there, you know, I think you guys are definitely doing it in the right way and laying
Thank
the
you.
proper groundwork for other groups to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. We always like to push things to the envelope. We always want to get answers. We want to know what happens after you die. Everyone does.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will know until we go to that side. They'll know for sure.
lot of
We want to
variables.
try to get real close.
We're trying, but
right,
it's
without dying
there's a
yet.
lot of variables.
But if I do die, I'll come back and talk to you.
The one thing we can
Pastor.
say, yeah, the one thing I think we can all agree on 100% is there is so much more than what we see with this physical sense, you know, with the physical sight, sound, smell, you know, so much more than the physical senses.
Yeah, the people that don't understand, they don't open their minds. Everyone has the gift. It's like a muscle. You gotta learn how to use it. The thing, the reason why kids are so sensitive and they see things and stuff like that is their minds are so wide open. And then once you start going to school and start learning from your parents, it's like your mind's getting corrupt and it learns to block things out. But oh, that's just coincidental. Well, maybe not, you know? So yeah, it's just all like trying to open your mind more. And, you know, I think the more you open it, you'll see whatever type of gift you have. You know, everyone has it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great advice for anyone out there. Absolutely. Be open to the experience, and there are no coincidences, right?
Yeah. That's why you never see anything, because you don't, you like close your mind out, you know, you don't open it.
Yeah. So true. So true.
And, you know, like when things happen to me, I'm like, right off the bat, I'm like, come on. How did that happen? I go, there's got to be an explanation. And it doesn't hit me till like the next day. I'm like, oh my God, I saw a shadow figure with arms and legs. Like, what the heck, you know?
No, that's awesome. I think you and your team are doing it in the right way. I mean, we're so thankful for you being here with us and sharing these stories. I know our listeners are going to find it fascinating. I know we're going to have to get you back on and hear some more of these stories for sure.
For sure.
Absolutely. But
I love talking about it.
Well, and I think more people need to be open and aware and look at it, doing it in the evidential, validating way that you guys are. You know, it's definitely a good thing.
I'm so grateful because I know you're super busy, and I kept, you know, I constantly am looking for someone, you know, a new adventure to bring onto the show. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta get a hold of Eric. Maybe he'll have time and he can come on, because this is something that not a lot of people know anything really about.
I always got a new story.
What?
No, I said I always got stories coming.
Oh yes, you always.
I'm investigating so often. Yeah, just keep piling up.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure we get you around a campfire. We'll be there all night listening.
Maybe next time we'll talk about skunk ape.
All right, that sounds good. No, we really appreciate you being here, and it's funny you talk about electronic glitches and all these things. I have to say, this is the only episode I've actually had my Zoom screen locking up on me and doing some weird stuff, and I'm hearing our voices, but the video's locking up. So absolutely, when you get two psychics together with War Party and, you know, the paranormal energy.
Well, you know what? Not to think of it as coincidental that you saying that. Maybe I brought something, because last week we were at the Gold Coast Railroad Museum and we were having our cameras malfunction for no reason. Like on cue. Like I was reaching for something, boom, camera stops.
Wild stuff. They're
friendly though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nothing to fear. And I think if we put the fear aside, anyone that is fearful of this, you know, put the fear aside, sit with it, look at it, you know, in this evidential way. And, you know, there's lots of things that can be debunked, but when we can't debunk it, well, we're going to turn to War Party and Eric.
Well, that's our motto.
See what's going on.
We don't want people living in fear.
Yeah, so absolutely.
That's our motto there.
No, you are doing a very good service. I think.
Thank you, sir.
More people out there need to be open and understand that there is this spiritual realm around us, and we can experience this interconnected.
Yeah.
Whether, you know,
amazing.
This interconnection, whether
not
it
all
be
dark.
a ghost or yeah, absolutely.
I've seen
Yeah.
beautiful things too. More
Yeah.
beautiful than dark. I'll just say that. How about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Yeah, the dark will always outshine. The dark will always be outshined by the light, and you are definitely casting your light out
Exactly.
there.
Hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. No, we are so thankful for you. We are so thankful for your team, what you're doing.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
honestly can't wait to get you back on for another
Yeah,
episode
this
because I
is
want to
a
hear
fun
some more of your
Anytime.
stories. Yeah, I'm fascinated by
All right. Awesome. I can't wait.
it. What
Thank
is
you
it?
for coming on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into this because I really want to see some of your adventures. I'm really excited about looking at this.
Yeah. Check it out. You'll love it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
definitely pulling some of it up. The funny thing is, I actually came across a few of your videos, but I was just pulling up different excerpts and different things. And yeah, there was some fascinating stuff. But now I'm gonna do a deep dive. Now that we've talked to you, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
Tell
do a
me if
little
you
deep
like
dive
it.
into it.
I hope you guys love it.
we will.
I'm sure we will. Yeah, thank you so
Thank you
much. And it's
for coming tonight.
My
war
pleasure.
Awesome.
warparty.com.
Say that again.
Is it warparty.com?
That's the team, and the show is paraflix.com. The
Paraflix.
Haunted Files.
Awesome.
Yep. I saw Mary write it down.
I wrote it down. I write everything down. I keep track.
Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll have you guys on our show one time.
Yeah,
Ooh.
we'd love
to,
it. That'd be good.
yeah,
Yeah,
pick your guys' brains.
absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to have these discussions. And I think the more we discuss it, the more we can get this stuff out into the open, and
Yeah, for
more
sure.
people will be talking about it.
Of course.
Eric Vanderlaan, thank you so much. Team leader of War Party, Advanced Technical Investigations in the area of paranormal research based in South Florida. Anyone out there that wants to find out more information, definitely look Eric and his team up. And we can't wait to have you back on. That's all I'm saying.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, guys. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
All right, take care. Bye.
That was really okay. That was some of that. He has a lot of stories.
I
Good
know.
stories too.
There was
Oh
some
my
good
gosh.
stuff. There was some good stuff.
He could talk, he's a cool guy. Very, very
Yeah.
interesting. I always liked him. When I met him, I said, this is like this guy's cool because of his perspective and how he was doing it. And I thought this was great. Okay, so I just want to remind everyone, if you want to reach out to Michael Edley is at eyeofthespirits.com. I'm maryamyofficial.com. You can get our merchandise on Spreadshop. Coming up, we have June 26th, we have Daniel Allen Jones and its Strange Phenomenon and UFO Investigator Vortex Media Platform. July 3rd, we have a Palladian Channel, Akashic Records, and Ascension Reader, Soma Ara. On July 10th, we have Frank S. Milburn, Intel veteran, author of the Pentagon's UAP Task Force. July 17th, we have Bonnie Plout Rogers, clinical herbalist. She's been on our show before, but not on video. July 24th, Dana Louise, experiencer and abductee. July 31st, we're on the Edge magazine. No, wait, live show. No, we have Edge magazine Kelly Wagner, and she is a psychic medium, and she is the editor of the Edge magazine. And then we're going to be on her show the 14th. I think. No, we're on her show 7th, and she's on our show the 14th. And that's
if they want to go to Two Psychics Podcast on Facebook, they can get all the information there too, and they can like and follow our page.
I put it up, but I just am kind of saying so people will come and hopefully watch the next episodes. This was episode 56, okay? And it's pretty exciting. We had a ghost hunter of paranormal hauntings, and we'll be back again in a few days because we're doing a few episodes this week.
Absolutely. And another big thank you to Eric Vanderlaan, team leader of War Party Paranormal. And yeah, I'm excited. I want to hear some more of his story. So he's definitely going to be back on in a future date. So Eric, when you're watching this, remember, we're going to have you back on, and Mary's going to be reaching out soon.
Yes, I will. I hope everyone has a wonderful month of June and be well. And
Absolutely.
let's bring light into our heart, crack that open that beautiful glowing light that you have in your heart. And I'm wishing you well, Michael, and I'll see you soon.
Yes. Remember, mindfulness and self-care are a priority in this energy cycle. It's not anything selfish, so make sure you are taking care of mind, body, spirit. And we will see you next episode, Two Psychics Podcast.
Don't forget to smell the roses.
Peace.
Bye.